Welcome into the Rant, everybody. Caden McFarland, Bill Haston of the Tulsa World, Jacob Toby over there. You're watching us on KJRH.com or Facebook Live. We appreciate you being there. Great sponsor, Jack Kissy Ford. Let's do this. I mean, OU beats Texas. That's a week. This is a Sunday night to talk football. Let's get after it. Jacob, what do you got, man?
Let's go. What's the best thing you saw this week, Caden? I know we don't have video of this, but what's the best thing you saw or were a part
Jerkins
of?
could work his stinking phone. Here's the best thing I saw.
I know.
A picture of us. Just imagine. I don't have it for you because he's watching the Yankees game and he can't send me the photo at the moment.
Big
but,
Al.
Myself, Big Al Jerkins, Jacob Toby. Who else was in that photo? The man drove all the way from Nashville to Dallas to be at the Cotton Bowl because I told Jacob this. Maybe when he first took the job or maybe this week, I can't remember. I mean, my stories all run together. But we had Al on this set doing a farewell rant after 35 years here at Channel 2 when he was retiring. And I asked him for kind of the one biggest moment, time he had butterflies in his stomach, you know what I mean? Because it's rare that happens when you're in this business, do it for a living all the time. And I thought he'd say one of the Super Bowls or something like that. He said every OU Texas game was just that special. And so that goes to show. He's retired and he drives all the way from Nashville to see us for like 4 hours, and then he drives right back. So it was good seeing Big Al.
9-hour drive Friday. He arrived a little before midnight.
Yep.
He was up, obviously. I mean, I don't know. Well, you know, when we arrived at the Cotton Bowl, Al was there.
He was there, and, you know, he was asking questions for us as I was editing. We were in a time crunch, and
He helped me
Jacob
out
running the camera.
in the post-game room.
He was firing off questions. Neville Gallimore and those guys.
I loved
so
it.
It was good seeing Big Al. How about you? Best thing you saw this week, Al?
Well, I mean, just because we're going to talk so much college football and so much OU Texas, and because it was breathtaking at the moment, I would say the Nationals on the brink of elimination.
Yeah.
On the road against a Dodger team that was expected to, by everybody, to, if not win the World Series, to at least be in the World Series, and to be down 2 runs in the 8th. And God bless Kershaw, one of the best people in sports.
Gosh.
And he gets lit up for 2 home runs, and then Howie Kendrick wins the series in effect. It wasn't a walk-off, but
yeah,
in effect it was.
Up by 4, yeah.
Right, and Howie Kendrick, a 36-year-old guy, nicknamed Truck. How about that? What a great nickname. He trucked the Dodgers with a grand slam. And now here, and lo and behold, a couple days later, Jacob, they're up 2 games to none in the NLCS.
Playoff baseball.
We're going home now with a chance to finish the Cardinals and go to the World Series.
I kind of wish the NLDS was best of 7 because I like to see the better team. Not that there's any guarantee that would have been the Dodgers, but that said, that was a great moment. Absolutely.
Hey, you know, the NBA used to be way back, Jacob, like until the mid-'90s or so, best of 5
First
in the
round.
first round. And that's why you'd occasionally see some really kind of fluky, weird, like the Nuggets
team.
like the Nuggets beating the Sonics.
Dikembe
Mutombo laying on the floor, cradling the basketball. So I'm with you. I'd rather see a best of 7. But be that as it may, good for the Nationals and good for Bob Carpenter.
Hey, maybe the Dodgers GM will be the Red Sox new GM, but that's another story for another day. Let's talk OU Texas. 9 sacks for the defense.
Wow. Yeah.
Impressive overall. What impressed you guys most about OU's performance on defense? Start with Bill.
That they got the 9 sacks from 8 different guys, and that they got the sacks both on play calls. And there was another beautifully called blitz by Alex Grinch, that was a run blitz in effect because Ellinger held onto the football and was going to. It was a design run play as it turned out, and they knocked him down. In fact, it might have been Pat Fields on that play. I don't remember, but it wasn't recorded as a sack, but in effect it was too. But to get 9 sacks from 8 different sources, both with play calls or an extra guy, and also more organically, if that's a word we can use, with just basic pressure. I thought that the defense came into the season with an obvious belief that they were better, and they were better just because they believed they were better, and they got coached up really well during the offseason. But now that they have a signature
now we know they're better. Absolutely.
And, you know, more importantly, Caden, they know they're better.
Yes.
And it's a momentum that'll carry them throughout the rest of the regular season. I don't see OU getting stressed until Bedlam.
Well, I hesitate to make statements like that. I mean, I agree. I agree. I hesitate to make such statements.
You just don't want to say the words.
But
they're
look,
just a more complete team than they were, in my mind, than they were a week ago.
No doubt. Everything you said there was hitting the nail on the head. They had built a real confidence in what they were doing in their coaching. We use the phrase a complete 180, which we should just say a 180. But anyway, we use that in sports all the time. That was on display 1 year ago in the Red River game. You give up 48 points, and you don't have any answers, not a single answer. You don't know how to attack Sam Ehlinger in that offense. You don't have the first clue. And you don't have guys playing with physicality. You don't have anybody attacking anyway. And then what we saw yesterday, which was nothing but attack, attack, attack from the start. They were defeating blocks. Texas loves to throw those short passes to big receivers and block them well. I don't know that they had success on that one time in this game yesterday. OU's secondary attacking that stuff, defeating blocks. That's the thing. You mentioned 8 different guys getting sacks. They don't have any edge rusher that is like some surefire first-round NFL pick. When you get 9 sacks, that's usually what you have, right? You have guys on the edge who are just they did it because they did everything well. It starts up front with, I think, the 2 guys who are definitely NFL players, and Neville Gallimore and Kenneth Murray Jr. Those guys are stars. They're playmakers. It all starts there in the middle, and that allows you to do a lot more on the edge. But it was the fact that they covered well, right? The press coverage was really, really good. They blitzed well. There was timely stuff. They knew what they were looking at. They knew how to defeat Texas, or at least how to go about it. It was flawless. Can we put it that way? Look at what LSU's defense was able to accomplish against Texas versus what OU. There's no comparison. OU played them much better. Am I saying that they definitely have a better defense than LSU? No, too soon to say that. But they played Texas better than LSU did. They played Texas better than anybody has this year. It was a sterling performance, and if that continues, well, yeah, you can win a national championship with this defense. That's the headline for me. We've said for the last 2 years, OU's got a national championship offense without question. The defense is holding them back from national title number 8. If they play like this, not necessarily anymore. We were in the Cotton Bowl, and they love to play highlights from the old games while you're there. And they put up highlights from the 98 game, which I think was a 37-3 Texas win.
Well,
and they threw for a 97-yard touchdown pass in that game.
Texas was the home team yesterday, so that's why they had control of the video board.
So, and for some reason, for the first time in my mind, this thought went through my head. Hey, that 98 team that was so bad and got just bludgeoned by Texas had a lot of guys who ended up winning a national championship for OU only 2 years later.
That's right.
This kind of thing is possible, and when you recruit at OU's level, what they did last year was absolutely a false floor. They were never, ever as bad, as bereft of talent as it looked like they were defensively 1 year ago. So you bring in Alex Grinch, who, look, this guy may be playing his way into a Power 5 head coaching position by the end of this year. The performance has been that good from him. It was masterful. And so they'll have to keep doing it because Texas is the only skin on the wall that's really worth mentioning. The schedule was incredibly weak prior, but what they did yesterday is so impressive.
Well, what they did yesterday too, Jacob, they scored enough style points to kind of offset some of it. It's undeniable that the September schedule was unimpressive.
Yep.
But I think they did enough yesterday with not just winning, but making a statement defensively.
Yeah.
And I think it's even a statement to some extent that they won this game the way they did, and Jalen Hurts was relatively average.
No doubt.
CeeDee Lamb was fantastic.
Yes. No Grant Calcaterra, and that can be a factor. I think, especially against a team like Texas, he could, he's a guy you want to rely on. But yeah, CeeDee Lamb was the only guy they were throwing the ball to.
Yeah. Well, he was historically good. 10 for 1 set. In fact, Jacob, the numbers that I centered my column on yesterday were that CeeDee Lamb now is one of the all-time epic immortals now for OU in the Texas series because he's faced, including the championship game last year, he has faced the Longhorns 4 times, 25 catches, 487 yards, 5 touchdowns.
The numbers are incredible for CeeDee Lamb. The video is even better than the numbers.
Oh, no.
His final 2 touchdowns, I don't know if I've ever seen anybody, and we can flip to the offensive highlights. I don't know if I've ever seen anybody put together 2 touchdowns
brilliant after
that
catch.
Clever
Yeah.
in the same ball game. Look, Texas is not elite defensively. Let's not kid ourselves. But it's still, we know what Texas has athletically. And on the flea flicker, he was surrounded by 5 Texas players. You know, and I'm down on the field looking through a viewfinder, so you don't have, you know, it's hard to know exactly. But I certainly in my mind thought, oh, this play's over. There's no way he can make that angle. To slip a tackle like he did and then beat the guy to the corner, it was unbelievable. And then to take the ball away and tightrope the way he did on the 3rd touchdown, CeeDee Lamb was so good yesterday. It's like I don't even know who to compare him to in the NFL right now. It was like he is the best offensive player on that Sooners team without a doubt.
No, he's the best player on the team.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
He is.
I mean,
I've written that for months.
Incredible.
Hurts is the most important guy in the program, and Lamb is the best player they got.
Sure.
I was going to say, Caden, you would.
And for him to do that in the biggest game is huge.
I was going to say, Caden, you had been saying for a little while that you thought Tylan Wallace was the best wide receiver in the country, but you had said now that it might be CeeDee Lamb.
They're both great and they're different players.
Yeah,
but
sure.
CeeDee Lamb at his best really does give you some things that are just very much next level. He had said that he wanted to work on being better after the catch. I had thought he was good after the catch. Now I see why. There was something to tap into. That's incredible. When he starts doing the shimmy stuff, I've never seen anybody. He comes to a complete stop. He comes to a complete stop on some of these moves, and people can't touch him.
Yeah, but somewhere in
That's
Austin right now, there's a couple of media guys ranting about how do you miss that tackle, because the linebacker had, not only did he have an angle on a CeeDee Lamb who came to a stop basically, but he just bounced right off him. A guy that outweighs him by 55 pounds. So I mean, if the guy had any, you know, if he should have, CeeDee should have been tackled on that play. Now, watch this.
The way he bounces around.
Oh, that's the
for a guy that size. Whew.
Yeah.
He's impressive.
He's lucky he didn't get flagged for the spike.
He's impressive.
Sure.
But
all right,
he was amazing.
Let's talk a little bit more about Jalen Hurts. You know, Mike Gundy likes to use that phrase. He gets out of his world a little bit. I thought Jalen Hurts got out of his world yesterday. He was trying too hard to make the play that everybody would see on SportsCenter. He did make one going behind his back with the pass rush coming. Had never seen that before. But the interception he threw, the interception that he should have thrown in the end zone, or could have. He could have had 2 end zone interceptions, basically. And then the fumble as well. This was not a championship-level performance for Jalen Hurts. Not to say that this is exactly what he is or he can't be better, but he was not great.
I watched him walk off the field after one particularly poor possession, and you know his shoulders were slumped a little bit, and he had some body language that I hadn't seen yet, and it was almost like you could just read it that this is, you know, he was pretty smug last week. I played in the Iron Bowl.
Yeah,
I'll be
I thought
all
he should
right.
have left that.
I'll be all right. Well, he was all right, but he wasn't great.
No.
And you know, maybe he did realize that this OU Texas stuff is pretty heated.
It's different, man. It's different. Weird things happen. We've talked about it. I mean, in the last decade, OU's been favored every single time, but you wouldn't know it by the way the games have played out. You got to have respect for this rivalry. It's different. Now, I'm not saying Alabama-Auburn's not as special or whatever, but for some reason, this game is just different. And the performances that some guys come up with that you wouldn't expect, you know, it happens every single year. Now, he still ran for 130 yards, and what he's able to do on the ground opens up so many other things for their running game, one, and then really just the offense at large. So the numbers were big. He could have been better, but they win anyway.
Hey,
could have been a blowout.
Like I said,
if he's more on point.
At the beginning of this, I said relatively average.
Exactly. Thank you.
Relatively, because he was still the winning pitcher and still made a few brilliant plays. But I wrote for the Friday Tulsa World that, in my mind, the run game was going to be the difference. OU runs for 276 and really stifled the Texas run game. So you have such a tremendous, well, you know, I mean, OU's defensively stifled Texas in every regard, but to have such a pronounced advantage in run yardage while you get 9 sacks, you know, you didn't beat Texas with anything dazzling. You beat them physically.
Sure.
And that's another statement aspect of the game.
Yep.
You just couldn't have scripted it better for OU yesterday.
We obviously could not be more impressed with Alex Grinch and the job he's done so far in the turnaround. Is there anything that gives you pause looking at this defense at the moment and where they are? Because
I'm a lot more worried about their kicking game than I am their defense. But
that's
no,
troubling.
No, because I mean, Nothing. I mean, we'll see. Like I'm the one who made the silly statement that they're not going to get stressed again at Bedlam, and I say maybe silly, but no, maybe not though. But time will tell. I mean, will they have an inexplicable flat Saturday at some point against Iowa State or against?
Well, that's the thing. Iowa State's coming.
They are.
You know, Baylor, I'm not sure, maybe not, but Iowa State's coming. You said until Bedlam, because I do think what OSU has offensively, if Spencer Sanders is on point, that could unnerve just about anybody in the country, and, you know, I would include OU there. But, you know, every year I go into it, you know, saying, hey, I think OU's going to go 9-0 against this Big 12 slate, and, you know, you get tripped up here or there. Now, usually it happens before mid-October. That's one thing you can say about this Sooners team under Lincoln Riley. A hallmark has been they get better and better as the year goes on, and by November they just look completely unbeatable.
Well,
you know, if that is the case again this year, if they just continue to get better and better, forget the Big 12. We'll be talking about Ohio State, Alabama, how they match up with those guys, and it won't just be, hey, they have a puncher's chance. Like last year with Kyler Murray, that's kind of how we looked at it. Hey, it'd be great to make the playoff, and then you'll have a puncher's chance because you have this incredible offense. No, you'll be looking at these guys as every bit the equal of Ohio State and Alabama and those guys, and feel like they can absolutely go in there and win a couple of games.
Yeah, but I mean, throughout the Lincoln Riley era at OU, which I include his 2 coordinator seasons, I mean,
yep.
They've been really a program that just outscored opponents, and now it's the most complete OU team. I don't think they're going to take a step back defensively all of a sudden. I think they're just going to keep building on what happened yesterday and what's been happening the first half of the season.
Sure.
I think it's their most complete team in several years.
They have an identity defensively now, and it's attacking. I mean, if you go back and watch some of the film in this game last year, when Texas throws those short passes, they're on their heels. They were not on their heels. They were attacking everything. Now, can Tua take advantage of that, the way he throws deep? You know what I mean? Like, it's different when you project some different matchups, and I'm not sure Texas had the best plan of attack. I think they were thrown off a little bit. So if we get the rematch in December, don't think that Texas isn't capable of a much better offensive performance. But what you're saying is exactly right. This defense has an identity. It's got more playmakers than we thought. It's simply much, much better with a much higher ceiling than I think we ever could have imagined coming into the year.
Didn't you expect about 12 catches for 100 yards or 150 yards from Colin Johnson yesterday? And
absolutely.
I did too.
And there were just a couple of moments for him.
Trey Brown was all over him.
The corners
Trey Brown
did a fantastic
played
job.
His guts
and
out.
After the game, Alex Grinch talked about how you probably should be picking up at least a couple of pass interference penalties or you're not being aggressive enough. And I thought, man, absolutely. In college football, where that penalty is nowhere near as punitive as it is in the NFL, you got to be physical and you got to take a couple of those, especially against taller wide receivers. That's just smart coaching. And if there was a hallmark of the downfall of the Mike Stoops era, it was cornerback play, in especially kind of the biggest moments. And how many times did we say, well, guys were there, they were close in coverage, but they weren't able to make the play.
Right.
You're not seeing that near as much. Well, certainly you didn't see it yesterday against a Texas team that's capable of beating you on some of those. So hats off for the way the corners played, the way the safeties helped, the way the front 7 attacked. It all came together and worked really, really well.
There's just Jacob, there's a ferocity that hasn't been there in a while.
That's
there
right.
is the tackling is better than it's been in years. Everything they're doing on that side is better than it's been in a while. And so for the first time, really, I think they're a top 4 team.
Yep, same here.
And I think they have a chance to go into the playoff as having a better chance to advance than any of these previous. And I say that, and they probably should have beaten Georgia. I mean, they should have. They should have outscored Georgia. They should have beaten Georgia. But I think this team, by this time last year, the backfield was all decimated or was beginning to get decimated. Rodney Anderson was already long gone by this time last year. I'm not sure what happened with Trey Sermon yesterday. In regard to his,
no touches. Played a little bit, but no touches. We'll find out
But then
tomorrow.
you're reminded, oh yeah, Kennedy Brooks is really good. Oh yeah,
Really
Stevenson
good.
I think is on the brink.
And then with Hurts, that running game is.
Hurts is almost like it's almost like you're playing 12 against 11.
It's the best running game in the country. I don't think anybody does it better.
You know what Jalen Hurts said after the game? He said, "I got that OU DNA in me," and he showed that. Yeah, I think Texas that game showed him a little bit of what being a Sooner's about. Quickly, maybe a minute each on these next two topics. TU losing to Navy this week after that heartbreaking loss versus SMU. Where do they go from here, Caden?
Well, I think I said last week probably that this would be Philip Montgomery's most important job and toughest job, getting the team to bounce back, and it didn't happen. Man, I hate to make excuses, but Navy was probably the last opponent in the conference they wanted to play or would want to see after the way that SMU thing happened. To use the bye week getting ready for SMU to pour everything into that game, to play well enough to have a 3-touchdown lead in the fourth quarter and then lose in triple overtime, and then have to turn around and only really have a couple of practice days to get ready for the triple option, and a Navy team that is much improved. They've been good so far this year, and a quarterback who's just a handful. It was too much, and this play would have put them up 10-0, Bill, in the first quarter.
Yeah.
But Crawford stepped out of bounds.
Right.
Never recovered from that. Never had an answer from Malcolm Perry, who ran for 3 touchdowns. This was not good. This is.
They've been outscored, Jacob, since the start of the fourth quarter at SMU.
Oh gosh.
79-24. Now that's 5 quarters plus the overtime periods in Dallas. So
I thought the loss at SMU, coupled with a poor performance here, could sink the season. I thought that coming in, and it looks like that's absolutely something we could be looking at. Now, these kids have a chance, right? I mean, they're going right back to work. They got a game next week. You win at Cincinnati, well, we have a very different conversation. But, boy, that's asking a lot. But
it is.
The point is, they worked so hard to get to the point where they were good enough to be 3 touchdowns up on SMU, and to not get rewarded for it, it is hard to keep going forward, man. They've got their work cut out. I said last week that would be the most difficult turnaround, if you will, for Coach Montgomery. This one's tougher.
Well, I just know that if you get your heart ripped out repeatedly, it's human nature to kind of I'll be really blown away if TU goes to Cincinnati and really makes it a 4-quarter game and is within a possession.
That would be tough to do in the best of times.
Oh,
But
yeah.
Absolutely.
No, but these last 2 weeks have been, because if you finish in the way you should at SMU, you are 3-2 with a chance to go to 4-2 at home against Navy.
Yep.
And instead, back to your 180-degree math there, they're 2-4.
Nice
I
math, Bill.
know big picture for Navy through the years under Niumatalolo, teams have really struggled the week after playing them. It's just tough to bounce back from all the chop blocking and everything else they do, or whatever the legal version of that is. They block your legs all day long.
It's like baseball teams facing an old school knuckleball pitcher who really had mastered the knuckleball. It's a different game.
Navy has mastered the knuckleball.
Yeah, they have.
Without a doubt.
Nice quote. I like that quote. Quickly. OSU will face unbeaten Baylor this week. Caden, what are your thoughts on this game?
Well, it's huge. It's a huge opportunity for Oklahoma State. I like them in this spot, if I'm being honest. I haven't seen the line on this thing. I assume OSU is going to be a small favorite.
4-point favorite.
Okay, so a 4-point favorite against an undefeated, nationally ranked team that's been impressive this year. They were not particularly impressive on Saturday, needing overtime at home to beat Texas Tech.
And an officiating failure as well.
Yeah. But if OSU is going to continue the trend they're on, that's not a particularly good trend, but going back the last couple of years where they're up for the good opponents and then maybe not so much for teams they're expected to beat, they should play really, really well in this spot. Now, like you mentioned, they're a small favorite, and technically that's been a problem after not being a problem at all for Mike Gundy his first 12 or 13 years. It's become a real problem in the last 3. I like them in this spot, but they got to go do it against a team that's really well coached, that's certainly built some confidence, and is dangerous. So this is a great opportunity for OSU, right? To go win a game that's going to now, I'm not going to say change the narrative, because what they did at Texas Tech and what they did last year as a favorite, and even in 17 as a favorite, that stuff all will continue to loom over them. Until they win some of those games where they're heavily favored. But this at least, everybody would feel good about where things can go if you beat Baylor on Saturday. If you don't, things start to get ugly.
Let's see. In September last year, Jacob, OSU was 3-0 to start. At that point, they had won. They were 33-9 going back to when Mason Rudolph took over as the starting quarterback. Okay. Now in their last 16, they're 8-8.
Yeah.
So
that's not great.
Caden and I have talked about it. The OSU standard, the Gundy standard now is 10 wins, and the Gundy standard is to beat just about everybody at home, and to win the games you're supposed to win. And they're not doing any of that now.
Sure.
This last 16, like I said, 8-8.
We don't have much time. I don't know what to make of that, if I'm being honest. Do you know what to make of that yet?
Well,
Do we need more data before we can? Because seriously, I don't know. I mean,
it's beyond quarterback play. It's deeper than that. It really is. And just when you think Jim Knowles has a good week and a bad week, and a good week and a bad week, and
that's true.
And the penalties last year were killers, and then this year there's no explanation for Lubbock. I probably need to watch that game again, to be honest.
I do. I mean, as much as I really don't want to, I probably should, because there have to be some answers there. They're capable of so much more than they
I have a bowl projection for you right quick. Not bold, but bowl, B-O-W-L. The Camping World Bowl, the Dallas Cowboys and the Cleveland Browns. How about that for a matchup? In the Camping World Bowl, because they're both sorry. I can't believe what I saw today. Now, granted, Seattle's good. Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Is so
well,
good.
he's
Wilson
good.
might be the MVP this year.
Oh, as we speak, I think he's the first half MVP.
Okay, if you had to guess at the end of this year, is Lincoln Riley going to be offered the Dallas Cowboys job or not? I'm not saying he's going to take it. I'm just saying, is he going to have the opportunity to turn them down?
He'll take it.
Yeah, you're probably right. Well, is he going to be offered, Jerry Jones?
Well, we'll see. I mean.
I'm going to say yes.
Yes. Fire Garrett.
If he fires Garrett,
fire Garrett,
and this continues on the trajectory it's on, he's going to offer that thing to Lincoln
I would
Riley,
think that he would
opinion.
get the first look at the job, and if he's offered the job, and if he and Jerry are agreeable on some terms of it,
that would be a
the
stomach
Dallas
punch,
Cowboys, yeah, you got to take it. He's from Muleshoe, of course he'd take it.
that'd be cool.
But
I'd like to see that. But you wouldn't, because you know.
Hey,
We buried the lead tonight. Lincoln Riley's going to the Dallas Cowboys. Everybody.
Listen, I know you're supposed to keep the Sabbath holy, and I'm telling you, during the Cowboy game today, I said holy bleep about 50 times. So that's my. I'm telling you.
Do you want? Should we get into a theological discussion?
They were
I'd love
terrible today. They were terrible, and here they are trying to convert on an onside kick after they'd already missed a very makeable field goal earlier in the game. And then, did you see the fourth down they failed on? Next play, Sam Darnold, 92-yard touchdown pass. Just a disgrace of a performance for the Cowboys.
So the conclusion we have is that Lincoln Riley.
No,
Lincoln Riley's taking the Cowboys job, and Bill's going to confession right after this.
He asked whether Lincoln would be
offered.
100%.
I think he would be. Yeah, I think he would.
100%.
All right, that was fun. We probably went for like 45 minutes.
Probably.
Sooners win
More
a
than
Red
that,
River game.
buddy.
We go a little long on the rant. That's right. Do you sign us off, Jacob, or do I? Get us out of here, man.
Whatever. See you later. Thanks for watching The Rant.